Hey guys, imagine coming home early only to find your worst nightmare hiding in plain sight. Today I step into my own house and uncover a chilling secret about my wife that I never saw coming. What if the person you trusted most was hiding a deadly secret? What if your home, your safe haven, became the site of a horrifying crime? This is a chilling story of love, betrayal, and murder, hidden beneath the surface of a seemingly ordinary life. One evening, a husband returned home earlier than usual, only to sense something was off. The house was too quiet, the air too tense. Then he found the last thing he ever expected, his worst nightmare hiding in plain sight. What happened next changed everything forever. Everyone always says that if you work hard after marriage, love your partner, and give time to your family, you'll stay happy your entire life. But what happens when, despite doing all of this, a man's own family doesn't respect him and even goes so far as to threaten his life? I bring this up because today's case is a perfect example of such a situation. Maharashtra is the second most populous state in India, and within it lies Mumbai, the most populous city in the country. Located on India's western coast, Mumbai is also the financial capital of the nation, with a population exceeding 15 million. Among this vast population lived a married couple, Raees Sheikh and Shahida Shaikh, in the Dahisar East area, specifically in the Rawalpada locality. They resided in a small rented home. Raees and Shahida got married in 2012 and had two children, a 6-year-old daughter and a 2.5-year-old son. This small family of 4 was happily living their lives in their modest home. Raees worked at a clothing store and would leave for work before 10 a.m. every day, returning between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Their children attended school while Shahida stayed home alone during the day. However, on the morning of May 25, 2021, Shahida arrived at the Dahisar police station to file a missing person report for her husband, Raees. While filing her complaint, Shahida stated, "My husband Raees has been missing for the past 4 days. He left for work on May 21st and hasn't returned since." In response, the on-duty police officers asked Shahida, "It has been 4 days since he disappeared. During this time, did you try calling or searching for him?" Shahida replied, "That day, Raees left his cell phone at home, and since he didn't return, I have been trying my best to find him on my own." The police then asked, "Then why didn't you file a missing complaint the day after Raees went missing? Why did you delay so much?" Shahida responded, "I was trying to find him myself during that time." After hearing all this, the police officers registered Raees' missing complaint, but did not investigate the case with much seriousness. Initially, they conducted minimal inquiries, questioning a few of Raees Sheikh's neighbors, and then returned to the police station. In many cases where an adult man goes missing, especially someone who is employed and mentally stable, the police often do not take the matter seriously. Similarly, in this case, the officers at Dahisar police station told Shahida, "Raees must have gone somewhere and will return in a few days. There's nothing to worry about." But while the police brushed the case aside with such a casual remark, the worry of Raees' family continued to grow day by day. Raees lived in Mumbai with his wife and children, but the rest of his family, his parents, younger brother, and other relatives, lived in Gonda district in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh, a state that attracts millions of national and international tourists every year, is known for its ancient temples, fertilizer processing industries, and religious significance. Raees Sheikh had lived in Gonda with his family until recently. His childhood, marriage, and the birth of his children all took place there. Given his family's financial situation, Raees started doing small jobs in Gonda after finishing his schooling. However, since he wasn't highly educated, he couldn't find a well-paying, stable job. Before he could even stand on his own feet, his family started discussing his marriage when he turned 20. After that, Raees' parents began searching for a suitable girl for him and even sought help from some of their relatives. A while later, some relatives approached Raees' parents and said, "We know a girl. If you agree, we can meet her family." Following this, Raees' family visited Shahida's house. When Shahida came in with tea, they immediately liked her. Later, Raees and Shahida sat in a corner of the house to talk and get to know each other. After this conversation, both agreed to the marriage. Thus, in 2012, Raees and Shahida got married. It was a completely arranged marriage, and both families were very happy with it. Time passed and Raees continued working small jobs to make ends meet. Meanwhile, Shahida gave birth to a daughter, bringing immense joy to the family. However, both Raees and Shahida wished for a son. 4 years later, their home was filled with happiness once again as Shahida gave birth to a son. With this, their family was complete. But soon, Raees realized that with a growing family, he now had the responsibility of ensuring a good education and career for his children. Determined to improve his and his family's life, he started looking for better employment opportunities. He asked many friends and relatives to help him find a good job. Finally, in 2020, through some acquaintances, Raees learned that a clothing store in the Dahisar area of Mumbai needed a salesman. One day, he took some cash from home, bid farewell to his family, and boarded a train from Gonda Junction to Dahisar railway station. After a journey lasting nearly 1 day and 7 hours, Raees arrived at Dahisar railway station. By coincidence, the shop where Raees was offered a job as a salesman was located close to the railway station. Therefore, as soon as Raees got off at the railway station, he went straight to that shop. He immediately took on the responsibility of his work and began working diligently. The shop owner also arranged a rented house for Raees and even paid the first month's rent himself. This job was much better than the work Raees used to do in his village, and he was earning a good salary as well. Every month, Raees would send some money from his salary back home to his wife and children. In addition, he had decided that once he settled down, he would bring his entire family to live with him. After working for a few months, Raees began earning a decent income. However, he would return home late at night, and after a long day of work, it was very difficult for him to cook dinner. Also, eating at a restaurant daily was not affordable for him. Therefore, after some time, he found a small rented house in a locality called Rawalpada in Dahisar East, where his family could live comfortably. He then brought his wife, Shahida, and their 2 children to live with him. Now Raees, Shahida, and their 2 children were living together in a small house, and their lives were going well. There was immense love between the husband and wife, and Raees treated his children with great care. After bringing his family to live with him, Raees even enrolled his eldest daughter in a school. Everything was going smoothly. Raees would leave for work around 10 a.m. and return home between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. On May 21st, 2021, like every other day, Raees left his house for work, but that night he didn't return home. If Raees was ever late coming home, Shahida would usually call him to ask the reason for the delay. However, coincidentally, Raees had left his cell phone at home that day. She spent that night waiting for him, but Raees didn't return. Before they knew it, 3 days passed. On May 24th, even Raees' parents and brother in Gonda district were worried. This was because Raees used to call home every 2 to 3 days. But this time, 4 days had passed, and he hadn't called. Concerned, Raees' parents called his phone. At first, no one answered, but after several missed calls, Shahida picked up. When Raees' in-laws asked, "Where is Raees?" "He hasn't been answering our calls and we haven't spoken to him in days." Shahida told them that Raees hadn't come home since May 21st. Hearing this, Raees' family was deeply shocked because he had never done anything like this before. May ended and June began. On June 1st, Shaha had to leave the house for some work, leaving Anis in charge of her 2 children. During this time, Anis noticed his younger niece sitting on her bed with a sad expression. He approached the 6-year-old girl, trying to cheer her up. Anis assured her, "Don't be so sad. Your father will be back home soon." In response, the little girl said something that shocked Anis to his core. Without wasting any time, Anis took both children with him to the Dahisar police station. At the station, R's daughter repeated her statement to the police officers. Hearing her words left the officers utterly stunned. A team of 5 to 6 police officers was formed, and they took Anis and both children along with them directly to Raees Sheikh's house in Rawal. It was around 4 p.m. at the time, and by then, Shahida had also returned home. The police thoroughly searched the entire house in her presence. The house consisted of a small bedroom and a tiny area outside with a sofa. The police inspected every corner of the house but found nothing. They checked the walls, ceiling, and floor of the entire house. However, just as the police were about to leave, one of the officers noticed the kitchen floor. Upon seeing it, the police suspected that the floor might have been newly constructed as new tiles had been installed. While this wasn't necessarily unusual since tiles or marble are common in most homes, the officers noticed that some tiles appear to have been poorly installed. Typically, when someone gets renovation work done, they ensure everything is done properly, but the kitchen tiles in Raees Sheikh's house looked as though they had been hurriedly laid by an amateur. This raised a question. Why was there such a rush that the kitchen tiles were installed so haphazardly? This suspicion made the police focus on that part of the floor. The police then called in some laborers for excavation and pointed out the spot where digging needed to be done. As soon as the laborers started digging, heavy rain began outside. Meanwhile, some of Raees Sheikh's neighbors gathered in front of his house, with 3 or 4 even stepping inside. The laborers began digging at 5 p.m. on June 1st, and as they continued, 10 hours passed quickly. By the time it was 3 a.m. on June 2nd, the laborers had spent most of their time breaking through the concrete floor beneath the tiles. Additionally, there were many rocks underneath the ground, which further delayed the process. After digging about 3 feet into the ground, the workers discovered a human hand. Seeing this, they began digging more carefully. Shortly after, another piece of a human body emerged. Eventually, 4 pieces of a human body were uncovered from the pit. These 4 parts, when put together, formed a complete body, and shockingly, it turned out to be that of the missing Raees Sheikh. The police then packed the remains and sent them to a forensic lab for examination. Meanwhile, Raees Sheikh's neighbors also witnessed the entire scene. Following this, the police took Anis, Shaha, and their 2 children to the police station. The police began questioning Shahida, as she was the only adult living in the house with her husband. During their investigation, the police learned from the neighbors that a man named Amit Mishra frequently visited Shahida's house. Upon locating Amit Mishra's residence, which was not far from Shahida's house, they found that he wasn't home at the time. The police then launched a search for Amit, and within a short time, they apprehended him. The police began interrogating both Shahida and Amit more sternly, prompted by a statement from Raees Shaikh's 6-year-old daughter. On the morning of June 1st, Anis tried to comfort his niece, telling her that her father would return home soon and she shouldn't be sad. In response, the 6-year-old girl said, "Uncle, my dad won't come home anymore because Mom killed him. I saw her with my own eyes cutting Dad's body into pieces. She also warned me that if I told anyone, she would drown me in a drum and kill me, and she wouldn't spare my brother either." Hearing this, Anis was utterly shocked, as he had no idea his niece would say something like that. Acting on this statement, the police searched the house and uncovered Raees Shaikh's body from the kitchen floor. In the initial inquiry, Shahida and Amit were evasive. But when the police presented Raees' daughter's statement, Shahida broke down. Both of them confessed that the 6-year-old girl was telling the truth. What followed was the uncovering of a bloody love story between Shahida and Amit, which cost an innocent and hard-working man his life. The affair began when Ray brought his wife and children to live with him in Mumbai. Not far from Ray's house lived Amit, a security guard who was unmarried at the time. When Amit saw Shahida for the first time, he was instantly captivated by her beauty. One day, Amit needed some ingredients to cook at home, so he used this as an excuse to visit Shahida's house. This initial interaction led to more conversations, and soon, whenever Shahida needed anything at home, she would call Amit to bring it for her. Slowly, their friendship blossomed into love, and Shahida, a mother of 2, fell for 24-year-old Amit. Amit was well aware that Shahida was Ray's wife, as he had known Ray for several months. Despite this, Amit not only cast a lustful eye on his neighbor's wife, but also engaged in a physical relationship with her. Ray eventually became suspicious. One day, neighbors informed him about Amit's frequent visits when Shahida was alone. When Ray confronted his wife, she outright denied having any kind of relationship with Amit. However, over time, certain incidents made Ray's suspicions grow stronger. This time, he sternly confronted his wife, and she admitted that Amit was her friend, but assured him that she would distance herself from him. Ray also warned Amit to stay away from his wife. Despite this, Shahida and Amit continued their affair in secret. Eventually, Shahida decided to end her 9-year marriage, but did not have the courage to discuss divorce. Instead, she plotted to kill her husband. She shared this horrific idea with Amit, who, blinded by his love for her, agreed to the plan. On May 21st, things took a dark turn. Ray unexpectedly returned home early and caught Amit in their bedroom. A heated fight broke out, and in the midst of it, Shahida grabbed a knife and attacked her husband's neck. Ray collapsed unconscious and blood pooled on the floor. Amit then dug a hole in the kitchen floor, but when they tried to place Ray's body inside, they realized the hole was too small. They decided to cut his body into 4 pieces and buried them one by one. A few days later, when Ray's parents called, Shahida told them that he had left home and taken his phone with him. She even went to the police station on May 25th to file a missing persons complaint. However, on June 1st, Ray's daughter revealed everything, leading to Shahida and Amit's arrest by June 2nd. Although this case was resolved in just 11 days, it is still ongoing in the trial court, and the 2 criminals have not yet received their sentence. However, we will continue to monitor the case, and if the court hands down any punishment, we will share the details on the True Crime David channel's community post. What would you do if you uncovered a secret like this in your own family? Tell us in the comments below. And if you love true crime stories that uncover the darkest human secrets, subscribe now and check out our other videos. The truth is often more terrifying than fiction,